Am I the antagonist for asking my parents why my wedding gift was significantly smaller than my sister's? My husband and I, 28 male, 28 female, got married recently, and my sister, 31 female, and I were discussing the wedding after returning from the honeymoon. We are very fortunate to have grown up in a household where my parents made very good money. They were generous with us, but raised my sister and I to be hardworking and not dependent on them as adults. My sister and I both do well financially, as does her husband, 36 male. My husband loves his job, but it is not one that has a ton of earning potential. He and I met in college, so I've always known this was his plan, and we are very happy with our setup. During my discussion with my sister, she asked me if my husband and I were planning to use the wedding gift money from my parents to do a particular renovation for which we've been saving, but I was very confused because the gift, while extremely generous and appreciated, wasn't nearly enough to cover that. She told me how much she had been gifted, and it was more than twice what we had been given. After that, I couldn't stop thinking about why I had gotten less, so my sister encouraged me to ask, and during a call with my mom, I couldn't stop myself from asking. Her response was that it wasn't my business, but since I did ask, my sister has chosen a partner that can accommodate the lifestyle she's used to, so they've gifted her accordingly. They also gifted me according to the lifestyle I've chosen. We are not entitled to gifts of any size in life, but I still can't help feeling hurt that my parents feel that my husband and I are less deserving than my sister and her husband based on income. Meanwhile, my parents are angry at both my sister and me for having this discussion and bringing it to them. TLDR, my sister accidentally revealed that our parents gave her a considerably larger wedding gift. Now they are mad at me for bringing up this topic. NTA, and I don't understand your parents' reasoning. Seems like they just want to punish you for choosing a spouse that makes less money than they would have preferred. Honestly, if your sister's husband is so well off, why would she need additional money as a gift? What weird logic. Your brother-in-law makes more, so we gift them more? Your husband makes less, so we gift you less? Sounds backwards. Also sounds like they're punishing you for choosing who you married. NTA. I mean, yeah, you're not entitled to anything, but if your parents are going to go giving out large sums of money, it's damn stupid to do it on the basis of you didn't marry rich enough for us, so you're just going to have to deal with that. I think that given your parents' stance, it's time to start giving smaller gifts to them. You should make it a point to always give them fewer and smaller things at holidays than you might give your sister or your spouse. If they complain, let them know that they aren't entitled to any gifts in life, and they should be grateful that they receive anything, given the modest life you've chosen. Then suggest how rude it is to ask about such things instead of being grateful. Spend the money you saved on yourselves. Your parents are petty. Am I the antagonist for blowing up at my son for lying to me for a year? I, 48 male, have 2 sons, Alex, 19 male, and Dan, 14 male. They both live with their mother in another city 'cause she got the full custody after we divorced, but I still visit them frequently. Sometimes they also visit me, my younger son more often /4 more times than my older one. Either way, Alex said that he started dating a girl a year ago. I was very happy to hear this, 'cause he's always been more of an outcast, so I liked it that he finally found a girl for himself. I started pressing him to bring her when I visit them in order to finally meet her, but he kept making excuses and avoid my questions about her. Yesterday, however, he finally admitted that he lied about having a girlfriend and that he was actually dating another man all this time, but he didn't tell me 'cause he didn't know if he'd accept him. I was shocked to hear this, but also furious that he lied to about this for a whole year, so I started blowing up at him, keeping me in the dark about this for so long and building up my hopes for nothing. I then asked if his mother also knew about this, to which he replied that even Dan knew about it. That really made me disappointed, 'cause my entire close family knew that my son was gay except myself. Like, I had no expectation for my ex to tell me anything because she's always been spiteful towards me after the divorce, and even before it honestly, but I thought at least Dan wouldn't lie to me, because he was close to me and him and his brother never had a good relationship, so I'm surprised got him to keep such a big thing from me. Am I the antagonist for being hurt that my older son would rather keep me in the dark about his sexuality out of anyone from our family, even after all the things I did for him? What hopes was he building up? YTA. Your son lied to you because he doesn't think you're a safe person to be honest with. Neither does anyone else. And your reaction showed them all they were right. You need to do some self-reflection on why everyone thought it best to keep this from you. Probably has something to do with the fact that you can't see the forest for the trees when you hear something you don't like and blow up over any perceived slight to you, when really this was a big moment that wasn't even about you but about your son telling you who he really was. YTA. Your son obviously didn't feel safe telling you. And your reaction wasn't great. Saying he got your hopes up that he was dating a girl is a pretty good indicator of why your son didn't feel safe sharing that part of his life with you. You need to do better than blowing up at him when he does tell you things if you want to be a part of your son's adult life. Your son obviously didn't feel safe telling you. And your reaction wasn't great. Saying he got your hopes up that he was dating a girl is a pretty good indicator of why your son didn't feel safe sharing that part of his life with you. You need to do better than blowing up at him when he does tell you things if you want to be a part of your son's adult life. Am I the antagonist for calling out my husband's two sisters for their constant teasing remarks against me? I'm Irish, my husband is American. We'd met while he was on a lad's holiday to Ireland. Did the long-distance thing for a while and eventually I moved to him so we could build a life together. His parents were lovely and his brothers and younger sister were both terrific. But the same cannot be said for his two older sisters. They are Annie and Marie, not real names. From almost the beginning they have fixated on the differences in names for everything. Like how I will say Mammy for my mother, Nanny for my grandmother, and even saying Granddad isn't a thing, LOL. Or they find it odd that I will go to the shops instead of saying store. My husband has given out to them so many times about it, but they laugh it off and say they're kidding. Giving out is another one of their fixations too. It just means telling someone off. But they act like it's so weird to say. It got worse after I gave birth to mine and my husband's first child. I announced myself as a mammy and shared photos on social media of Nanny and Granddad, my parents. Then they started joking that my family and I are so rich we have nannies to raise the kids, then joked that I sound like a racist child saying mammy. My husband's family were having a little party and they started again. Everyone came to my defense, but I stepped up for the first time and called them out for the way they have mocked me. I told them they didn't have to like me, they didn't even have to like my culture, but the constant disrespect masked as having a laugh was going too far and I didn't deserve it. I told them they were no better than schoolyard bullies. They could not believe I would say that and they called me rude. The rest of the family didn't think so, but I admit the party was a little awkward afterwards. This makes me feel bad. Because of the where. And even the fact I called them out when everyone else already was. Am I the antagonist? NTA. I am so sorry. I can't believe how unbelievably rude, uncultured, ignorant, and uneducated they are. I'm American and I apologize for the idiots that we have in our country that seem to think the American way of speaking is the only way of speaking. Also, I love the way people from other countries say things. Going to the shops sounds way classier than mine going to the store. Faced with tears of joy, I'm so glad you spoke up for yourself and that you have the support of a majority of the family around you. Do not feel bad. NTA, you're allowed to stand up for yourself where and when it happens. NTA, those type of remarks get old, fast. They've been asked to knock it off repeatedly, now they hear it from the horse's mouth. At least you didn't tell them you and your husband were having good crack, that usually raises a few eyebrows. I'd not put up with their shenanigans in the first place. Next time they try it, clarify what they are saying, but use the proper terms as you've grown up with. Then comment how they have such strange colloquial terms, must be the colonial influence. Yes, this would be teasing. Better if your new family is supportive of it. Am I the antagonist for calling the police on my niece who stole my car? I, 46 female, live on a farm with my husband and 2 kids. My brother Dwayne, 38, has a daughter, we'll call her Emma, 15. My brother and his wife have always been very quick to compliment me on the behavior of my children. Angela, my sister-in-law, confides in me about Emma's troubles. Emma is very reckless, shoplifts, drinks, has an older boyfriend, and gets into fights at school. She's also constantly suspended in and out of school. Over the summer, Emma had a run-in with the law, and they were told that if she didn't straighten up her act that she would end up in prison. They were suggested and tried therapy, but Emma never would participate. Dwayne asked me if I would take Emma and teach her some responsibility. The arrangement was that I would take Emma for the final month of summer, enroll her in school here, and keep her for the first semester. If all went well, Emma was welcome to stay with us. Otherwise, other options would be explored, those of which are unknown to me. Emma did not do well all through July. Her boyfriend drove over to visit her, to my dismay. I tried to make him leave, but it caused some backlash, so I figured I would set visitation, then wean her time from him more and more. Then I caught her smoking one of those electronic cigarettes, twice. She would never do any of the work asked, would talk back, steal food, break things, and would be rude to my children. All of that could be dealt with. I knew that once school came around she needed to be more disciplined, so one morning we got into an argument because I told her I was chaining up the fridge, and that she'd better act right or else she will be forced to scavenge for her food around the farm and cook it herself. If she doesn't want to contribute, she gets nothing the household has worked for. She was livid, throwing stuff, stomping her feet, making rude gestures. My son and I left to go tend to the animals' morning duties, and told her that she'd better catch up to get some chicken tonight or start preparing to pick some vegetables for herself. After an hour of work, I sent my son back home to get me a change of pants due a fall. He came back asking me if Dad had taken my car. We quickly realized Emma had stolen my car. Not only that, but she did not have a license, only a permit. I did what any reasonable person would do in this situation and called the police. They found her 2 hours later and arrested her, saying she was to be charged with a misdemeanor for driving without a license, and I believe joyriding. My brother and his wife are furious with me. They told me she steals our cars all the time and always brings them back, which, that would have been good information for me to know beforehand. My family is siding with them that calling the police when knowing she would be arrested was an a-hole move. Just to tack this on so I don't have to reiterate this to everyone who comments about the fridge bit, that was more or less an empty threat. If it came to it though, I can't say I would have totally ruled that out as crossing the line. Also, about stealing food, part of what I do is I bake and sell what I make at a farmer's market nearby. She would take cakes, pies, and other pastries I would make and eat them herself. I would make some little versions for the kids, but she would take the whole portion meant for sale and eat it herself, and throw out the extra. She would throw away 3/4 of a cake. Please note we live on a vegetable farm. She has access to vegetables and fruits. When I say scavenge, I mean go outside and pick something to eat and cook. I'm not denying her food. NTA at all. She steals our cars all the time and always brings them back. Well, now we know where she learned all this from. If they expected you, her aunt, to just brush off her stealing your car, imagine what they let her get away with. NTA parents, please OP straighten out our daughter's behavior. We don't know what else to do. OP actually disciplines her niece parents. Wait, you can't punish her. We let her do that all the time. I wonder how she ended up with so many behavioral problems. /S. They told me she steals our cars all the time and always brings them back, which, that would have been good information for me to know beforehand. It's their piss-poor parenting that's led to Emma being this way. Like so many other parents, they refuse to discipline their child, and so the child has their way. My family is siding with them that calling the police when knowing she would be arrested was an a-hole move. Ask if they're willing to look after Emma, then. See what they say. NTA. Send Emma back to your brother where she can be the head of the household again. Her life will unfortunately probably not turn out well, but that's their fault, not yours. I don't care if a kid is related to you. That shouldn't and doesn't get them a pass on criminal behavior. Kids who steal on a grand theft level desperately need to understand the actual consequences of their behavior. Am I the antagonist for leaving my friend stranded and going on a vacation with another friend after I repeatedly warned her not to be late? I have a friend named Hannah, 24 female, who's always late. It doesn't matter what it is and how late she is. She'll find an excuse for being late. There have been few times that my other friends and I just left Hannah behind. She was invited to dinner, movies, etc., and she'd get upset she missed the event. We'd always remind her and give her plenty of notice, but also reminded her that it's ultimately her responsibility to be on time. She'd also lost a bunch of professional jobs because of it and can't get hired in her field because word got around. Hannah and I have been planning a trip to Destin, Florida, and it was supposed to be last week. When she first brought it up, yes, it was her idea in the first place. I made her sign a contract that said if everything's been paid for and she ends up being late or missed the trip without an emergency, then she forfeits the right to go on the vacation and she won't get her money back. We actually had an attorney friend write it up and signed and everything. Hannah thought it was a joke and signed it, assuming she can still be late and get to go on a vacation. The day comes. And of course she's late. We were supposed to leave at 6 a.m., leave for Destin at 6, not get to my house by 6 and take 30+ minutes to leave. I gave her a phone call and a text reminder the night before. She said okay. I text and call her at 5 a.m. This time she didn't answer. I tried again at 6. I was anticipating it and my girlfriend prepacked her stuff and said she'll go with me as a joke, so off we went without Hannah. My girlfriend's company gave her and few other people a 2-week paid vacation. And the drama. Hannah finally called me at 2 p.m. Yes, 2 p.m., about 8 hours after we agreed to leave. She was crying and upset that I left her and went on a vacation with my girlfriend. She was ugly crying and asked how I could use her like that. Everything was in my name, the hotel, all the tickets, no flight because we were driving. I have all the receipts for the stuff that she gave me money for. I reminded her about the agreement we signed and that gave her a courtesy phone call and text 3 times. I also told her that I wasn't about to have my planned vacation ruined. I blocked her number and enjoyed the vacation. When I unblocked it on the day we came back, Hannah called and said she would sue me. I reminded her, again, that it was her own fault that. NTA, but why are you still friends with her? The point I'm getting attorneys to write contracts because of how unreliable she is would be the point at which I reconsider that friendship. NTA. This is the only way to deal with chronically late people and keep your sanity. 1. Tell them the time and that you will not waste your time waiting for them. 2. Make alternate plans so you're not disappointed when they don't show. 3. Do not apologize or lose your cool or feel guilty when they're upset they missed a fun time. Tell her this will happen every single time. She's a no-show. If she ends the friendship, you'll know you weren't really friends anyway. NTA. Actions have consequences and she effed kid up royally. She finally responded 8 hours later? What was her excuse? I don't know to what extent you tried to get a 50% discount on your holiday, and frankly, I don't care. It's not like you stole candy from a baby, you potentially exploited a character flaw of a friend, but still she chose to sign the contract, she chose to be late, she chose not to answer your calls. Choices - consequences. Just don't expect you'll stay friends, and it's possible some common friends will cut you off too, but frankly, you did nothing more than stick to your word/contract. Hannah steals time from everyone around her without remorse. As far as I'm concerned, she owes you and the rest of her friends far more than the cost of one trip. Encourage her to sue. Watching a judge tear her down when she's late to court would be well worth the time you spent fighting her. Am I the antagonist for making my daughter's friend do chores at our house? This feels so dumb to me, but considering that her mother called and told me I was not being a good host, I'm questioning myself. Yesterday, my 42 female daughter, 16 female, had a close friend over for a sleepover. I ordered them pizza and brought it in and said they could eat whenever they wanted. They weren't hungry at the time, and I already finished dinner, so I said I would be upstairs doing some laundry and they could eat whenever they wanted. I also bought them snacks and stuff, and everything was kept out on the countertop, so they could take whatever. I had a couple conditions though, and it was just mainly, close the snacks whenever you're gonna go to bed and leave the plates in the sink. I let them know that I would come down to load the dishwasher and clean up. However, my daughter ended up putting her plate in the dishwasher and her friend did the same. They also just put the snacks bag in the pantry later on, so I didn't end up cleaning up after them very much. Her friend left today morning, and a couple of hours later, I got a call from her mother telling me that her daughter shouldn't be doing chores at my house. I explained they just put their own snacks and plates away, and her mother said that if she were hosting, she would take care of these things, and by making her daughter clean up and wasting her time, I was being a bad host. This feels so surreal to me because these things seem like such basic things to do, but maybe these are considered chores, so am I the antagonist? Edit. I didn't process this earlier, but we have some randomly kind of fun kitchen tools like this little box you pull to spin blades and cut vegetables, which the friend thought was cool and tried on a carrot in the morning, and I used it in their breakfast, so maybe that also threw her off? NTA, that's not chores. That's cleaning up after yourself, which you should do wherever you are at. NTA, I specifically remember my friend's dad saying to us at a sleepover, if you guys don't clean this shit up by the time I get back, you're not sleeping in the house. Want to live like animals? You can do it outside of the 90s, a simpler time. NTA, cleaning up after yourself is basic courtesy, not a chore. Tell your daughter's friend's mother to get a grip. Putting something in a dishwasher is not a chore. It's not like you made her hoover and take out the bins. She's being ridiculous.